Hi everybody, this is Crypto Rich working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with crypto profits. And this is another series of videos where I'm looking at what I think is one of the most exciting projects in the Cosmos ecosystem. And if you're new to cryptocurrency or even a little bit new to cryptocurrency, and if you know a hell of a lot about cryptocurrency, and if you know a hell of a lot or just a little bit about the Cosmos ecosystem, then this video is for you.
Meet NordPass. It creates strong passwords for you, keeps them safely locked in a single place, and automatically logs you into all of your favorite online accounts. And you can access it all on all of your devices, even when you're offline. That's NordPass.
The world's most advanced cold wallet for the new generation of cryptocurrency lovers, Descent.
Okay, hey Carter, thank you so much for making yourself available.
100%. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. And I, by the way, if you're watching this, I have told Carter he's coming on again. I've actually written it into the smart contract for the Shade Protocol, as he will discover. Now, before we get into this, please subscribe bit.ly/CryptoRichOdyssey. I post more videos on Odyssey than I do on YouTube, and that's because of YouTube censorship. Also follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, join my official Telegram announcements channel. Comments, questions, all that business, it all helps. And I'll have the links for this project in the description below, and I invite you to check them out as well. Okay, so Carter, we're recording this on Saturday, the 3rd of September. This is the second of 3 short videos that we're doing looking at Shade Protocol, which brings privacy to the whole world of decentralized finance. And people should really check out the first video, and that'll be linked in the description below so you can find out more about that. But Shade, which is the token for Shade Protocol, also has a sister token, Silk. And Silk is a stablecoin, and you gave an overview of that in that first video. And in the third video, we're going to be talking about what's coming up with these projects, because it's very, very exciting indeed, including information about airdrops. And what are airdrops? Free crypto. That's what airdrops are. Free digital gold. Okay. Where should we begin? What are we going to talk about in this one?
Well, I think today the big one was an overview of Terra Luna and what went wrong.
Yes.
And specifically why that's relevant for Shade Protocol is because we're launching a stablecoin. We actually originally were on track to inherit components and properties of Terra, and after the crash, we pivoted it towards an over-collateralized model that has less growth potential, explosive growth potential, but much safer. But there's a lot of people out there that their intro into crypto was Terra Luna. It was a $50 billion protocol. It was growing crazy fast. You had this stable coin that was promising 20% APR, savings account that would outmatch and outbeat any bank in existence. And it was super effective. I have many a friend that found crypto from Luna. And then everything crashed. I was there glued to my screen. I've met Do Kwon before, for anyone who's heard that name. He's the founder of Terra Luna. And so I intimately know developers there and builders there and people there, very, very sharply intelligent people. And after this all went down, a lot of people lost their trust in this domain, because how could so many of people gotten it wrong? How could we have missed that a $50 billion protocol could go to zero in 48 hours? What economic levers made that possible, and how do you avoid investing or getting involved in a project that has similar risks? And so that's kind of, I think, the purpose of the video today. And we're somehow going to manage to do it in 10 to 15 minutes.
That's right. Without going too much into the detail and nitty gritty and stuff. Because I said to Carter before we started recording, is I don't need to know how the fridge works. I just need to know that when I go in, my food is going to be cool. It's going to be cold, right? So you don't necessarily need to know exactly how the blockchain works. Just need to know that the cryptocurrency project that you're interested in is going to do what it promises to do, and it's going to be safe and secure and prevail. And the $50 billion comment that you made, just to expand on that, because a lot of the people watching may be pretty new to crypto, is it brought down the entire crypto space. It really did. So much money got sucked out. People got scared. They lost loads of money. They got liquidated, and boom, Bitcoin went down as well. Bitcoin got pulled down by this cryptocurrency, Terra, by the crash of that. That's how big it was. Okay.
It kicked off the bear market, in
Yeah.
essence, like because it was a whole contagion that just rippled out.
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose, like the 2008, 2009 crisis in a way, where there's a knock-on effect from one particular set of assets to another.
Mm-hmm.
Off we go. Okay, so tell us what happened with Luna Terra in a nutshell.
Sure. So we'll start with UST. UST is the stable coin that's pegged to $1. How does it maintain its peg? There's two tokens. There's UST and there's Luna. Luna is the asset that is backing all of the UST in circulation. So the way it works is if UST goes to $1.02, this is a really bad thing, right? We wanted to maintain that dollar. And so what the system allowed was for anyone in the world to burn $1 worth of Luna to mint out 1 UST that the market was valuing at $1.02, right? So you burn the Luna, Luna supply contracts, UST supply expands, and the person that burned that Luna for UST can now go and sell that UST for $1.02 and earn the profits, the spread. They're arbing between essentially the minting contract and the fact that there's a demand and supply imbalance. So anyone can expand the supply for everyone and earn profits in the process. And so this system was super dynamic because when lots of people are buying UST and it would keep jumping over its peg, there's this very strong mechanic to rapidly expand the supply of UST and shrink the supply of Luna to match this growing ferocious demand for people to want to own the stablecoin. So what was the inverse scenario? This was the scary one. What happens when demand decreases for UST and UST starts trading at, say, 98 cents? This is bad. We want to keep it at $1. We don't want it to be underpegged. And what the system did is it allowed a user to turn in 1 UST that was being valued at 98 cents for $1 worth of Luna, right? And so what this empowers is it shrinks the stablecoin supply and it expands the supply of Luna. Luna essentially absorbs the volatility of changes in demand for the underlying stablecoin. And so this whole system grew super, super fast. And there started to be some problems that emerged that were starting to compound over time. So the language I'll use is assets and liabilities. A liability is essentially a form of debt, right? And if you think about it, every UST that was minted that someone holds is a promise that one day they can either sell it for $1 or redeem it for $1 worth of Luna, right? That's the liability. That's the implicit promise. So then the question becomes, what are the assets backing those liabilities? And this was problem number one. The only asset backing UST was Luna, a single piece of collateral. It wasn't like it was Bitcoin, Ethereum, real estate, It was literally just Luna. One single volatile asset backing a stable asset, right? Very big problem at the end. The second piece is they let anyone mint out that stable coin at any time. So the example I like to give where this is super problematic is imagine that someone has $100 worth of Luna. Okay, let's say Luna's trading at $100, they have 1 Luna. And what could happen is they can burn $100 worth of Luna for 100 UST. And this is where things get really problematic, right? So we had $100 worth of assets and $100 worth of liabilities. Everything's balanced, everything's matched at that exact moment in time. What happens if a bunch of people start selling Luna? The assets start being worth less. And so let's say Luna's price drops from $100 to $30. The inherent problem in the system is that 100 UST is still out there. That promise is still out there, that 100 UST. But now the asset backing in the system has dropped to $30. So $100 worth of UST, the Luna has dropped to $30. There's now a gap in assets to liabilities. And so at the very end of Terra's lifespan, what everyone realizes, because anyone could just go and mint out UST by burning Luna at any point in time, this is super problematic because There was a promise in the system that that UST could be sold or redeemed for $1 worth of value. Over time, the system had incurred bad debt from people that burned Luna at super high prices for UST. And then once the Luna price drops, all of this debt was sitting in the system without proper asset backing. And so in the final days of Terra, everyone was selling and redeeming their UST. It's essentially a bank run because people were aware that there were not enough assets in the system that could be redeemed against. There wasn't enough liquidity on exchanges for people to exchange their UST for dollar amounts of Luna or for UST. So I'll pause there because that's the simplified explanation. Bad debt was incurred in the system because there was economic levers that allowed people to mint out liabilities that the protocol had to answer to at a later date. And they were minted against a certain price points of Luna that actually weren't sustainable. And because Luna was the only asset backing those liabilities, when Luna's price started to drop, things get really bad really quickly. And actually, if you'll remember earlier, when people were selling their UST, that actually drops it below peg. And when people, in order to arb it back to $1, people are burning UST and minting Luna. Remember, because Luna supports supporting that volatility. And so Luna's supply rapidly inflated in order to handle all of the redemptions from UST, that rapid shift in demand. And so Luna's supply hyper inflated, trying to absorb the bank run, but there wasn't enough asset backing in the system to account for all of those liabilities, all the UST at large.
Wow. Yes. I remember it well because I had a little bit of Luna and I had a few friends who had quite a bit of Luna and they lost a lot. And you must have known people who lost a hell of a lot. And I know many people lost a lot of money. And that's one of the risks. One is, I think, of not hedging. Because what you're talking about is that Luna wasn't hedged. So if anybody watching this for this and any other cryptocurrency or any other investment, don't put in any more than you can afford to lose. Okay, now Silk is a stable coin, and its sister token is Shade. So how is Silk going to be any different?
So the biggest, most obvious difference between Silk and UST are twofold. So the first piece is that Silk is over collateralized. For every Silk that is issued, there's either $1 worth of stable assets or $150 or 150% collateralization for each Silk that's minted. So with Terra, it was $1 of Luna equals 1 UST, and that Luna fluctuates in value, right? So this can introduce bad debt to the system. Versus with Silk, Silk's minted out, it's going to be minted against other stable coins. So there isn't that fluctuation. It's not some speculative volatile assets that are back in the system. They're stable coins backing the issuance of Silk. That's component one. And the other component is people can mint out Silk with volatile assets, but those volatile assets have to be over collateralized. So I put up $150 worth of Bitcoin or $150 worth of ETH to mint out $100 worth of Silk. And if the value of those assets ever starts decreasing and it falls below a certain collateralization ratio, the system will liquidate that user, buy Silk off the market, and then burn the Silk, right? And so this ensures that system-wide collateralization always stays at an acceptable price point. So biggest changes, the collateral backing it is either over-collateralized or stable assets. And then the second piece is it's not just one asset backing the system. It's not just Luna. There's going to be 10, 15, 20 different assets backing the system. There's a diversification and a decentralization of assets. So even if 1, 2, or 3 of those assets see a massive spike downwards, the system's able to liquidate and pull Silk out of circulation in order to maintain the target peg and equilibrium. So that's the simplest explanation I can give at a high level.
Okay, and does the system actually hold those assets, or is it just like an algorithmic peg?
So actually, it's really the users that have supplied those assets to the system, and they're supplying those assets to a smart contract, right? And the smart contract's just sitting there constantly scanning the system and is like, hey, we have all this Silk out there. it's backed by a certain amount of value. And if the assets backing system ever see change in value, we're going to pull the user's assets that they've given us, and we're going to go ahead and pull the silk back out of circulation and get rid of these volatile assets. So it's a system of smart contracts. I guess it depends on your definition of an algorithmic peg. Nowadays, the term algorithmic peg gets a really bad rap. It's like taboo. No one wants to touch that word everywhere. I know many stablecoin projects that like remove that terminology as fast as possible off their website. But if you consider something algorithmic as a set of smart contracts, monitoring the market and making automated decisions based off of market conditions, then every stablecoin is algorithmic to a degree.
Yeah.
The piece that was dangerous with Terra is the system was so responsive to changes in demand that it was an unhealthy amount of algorithmic response.
Yeah.
I guess maybe is the way to.
And what I hear in that is that it matched what happened with Luna. It started matching Bitcoin's volatility, which is the problem that a stablecoin wants to solve. But a basket of currencies would be way more stable, I hope. I mean, depending on what the basket is it like little micro cap altcoins with $10 of volume?
Yeah, no. It'd be blue chip cryptos, absolutely, that have really deep liquidity. Well, there's three variables we look at. We look at compressed volatility, depth of liquidity, and smart contract and bridge risk. Those are kind of our three parameters for how we define quality collateral.
And can you name some of those assets?
Yes. So Atom in the Cosmos ecosystem is really, really big. Yeah, go Atom. Secret is another huge one. Potentially the likes of Juno, and Osmo, other tokens. We're still figuring out what other L1 blue chips are. We're a huge fan of. But those four are kind of the big four. And then of course we'll be over time including Bitcoin, ETH, potentially Monero. Those are the big set of seven that we're kind of targeting.
Okay. Any non-cryptocurrency assets?
Yes. So we actually have gold is going to be a digital gold is going to be one we're also going to be targeting, because Silk isn't just pegged to global currencies. There's also going to be commodities included as well. Initially, we're just starting with gold. It makes up 7% of Silk's peg, but over time, we'll potentially be adding more commodities other than gold into the basket that defines Silk's peg. So
right. Okay. So then they're all going to be digital assets.
Yep.
Because they need to interact with the smart contract.
It gets very difficult to bridge real world assets into the world of crypto without having some centralized human party that's kind of bridging the gap. And MakerDAO and other projects try to do this, but the end result is if you want to keep everything automated, decentralized, permissionless, all based on smart contracts, it's best to use digital assets. And my dream is one day we'll have financial instruments that represent something like real estate or are like option contracts and hedges, such that because there's three types of assets. There's correlated, uncorrelated, and inversely correlated assets. Those are the three categories. In crypto right now, all these digital assets are all correlated together. So in order to make stable coins truly stable, we need to find uncorrelated assets in the space, inversely correlated assets in the space. Inversely correlated allows us to hedge against volatility. Uncorrelated assets are just kind of beta neutral. They don't care what's going on. And then the correlated ones, if you use over collateralization, like what we're doing with Shape Protocol, with Silk, then it's okay. We're able to survive it. It's just kind of capitally inefficient. It's capitally inefficient to grow those systems. So long and short for your answer, we're not bridging the real world stuff yet, but over time, I think crypto will come up with creative solutions to represent inverse correlation and uncorrelated assets.
Fabulous. That does answer my questions and my concerns about how Shade and Silk are going to get past the problems that Luna and Terra had, UST, and how they actually, Luna and Terra, got past the problems represented by the mother of all stablecoins, the crooked gangster of all stablecoins, USDT.
Yes.
Just gets printed in thin air, just like the dollar does, right?
Trust our audit. I promise you it's back.
Now, when is Silk launching?
Oh, that's a question that many people want to know about. I'll say this: fall of 2022 is what we're committed to. Things are coming along very, very nicely. It is September 3rd right now, at least when this is recorded. So sometime in October, November. Between those 2 months, I have a high probability of confidence. And that might be the first time I've publicly committed to even giving a month. We've really been saying fall of 2022. But I'm feeling really good about October and November between
Very
one of
good.
those 2 months.
And is it going to be airdropped to shade holders?
So yeah, so Silk can't be printed out of thin air. There has to be assets backing it. So Silk will begin to be in circulation for people to buy. They'll be able to buy it on ShadeSwap, and they'll be able to mint it through Shade Lend by essentially putting up that over collateralization I was talking about earlier, or by depositing a stable asset. Why would you do that? There's going to be some really interesting yield opportunities for Silk, such that that's like the best way to acquire it. And Silk also is going to be starting to be implemented into a bunch of other secret applications and other DeFi applications in the Cosmos. So if you have Silk, there'll be lots of utility out there for you to be able to utilize it. That's going to be the organic incentive for people to either go buy it or mint it.
Very good, which neatly segues into our next conversation, which will be the next video, which is what is coming in store for Shade and Silk. Okay, Carter, thank you so much for this. I'll have all the links in the description below so people can go check it out and do their own research and join the community and see how it's run. This decentralized project that brings privacy to the decentralized finance space, and also another set of privacy applications within the Cosmos ecosystem, which is just fabulous. Very smooth, very fast. In fact, I'll say I have found the Cosmos ecosystem the easiest one to introduce my newbie friends to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to use Fork Delta anymore. We can get by with Osmo, which is so much easier, right? You remember Fork Delta or Ether Delta? Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, comments, questions in the description below. Please do subscribe, bit.ly/CryptoRich Odyssey. Follow my one of my members. Follow my Twitter channel, CryptoRichYT. Join my official Telegram announcements channel. Give me your comments. Give me ticker symbols of your favorite Cosmos asset or cryptocurrency asset. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets, your silky pockets, with some shade. This is Crypto Rich and Crypto Carter signing out. All the best. Bye-bye. Oh, I got to say, Carter, maybe it's because you're an author. I'm getting all literary with my alliteration.
Well, hopefully that